So I wanted to start this video by providing a trigger warning to anyone who is suffering with addiction, who might be susceptible to hearing me share some stories from my past involving my addiction and my experience specifically with opiates, but I want to touch on fentanyl specifically. So if that is triggering at all for you, please avoid watching. But you know, as I expressed in my opening video, my channel, I believe that sharing my story and my experiences will be, I hope, a way to provide information, you know, not just stuff you read online, but things I've experienced personally with fentanyl, and that my sharing some of my experiences will help others feel heard and seen and all that good stuff. So, fentanyl, that dirty poison, that dirty synthetic opiate. So the last time there was, you know, statistics provided on deaths by synthetic opioids, not including methadone, primarily these are deaths by fentanyl in the year 2022, was 73,838 deaths. Okay, that's about 203 people a day. I can guarantee you that that number is far worse now. And unfortunately, based on this drug becoming more and more available, and my experience of what I've seen and how much it's coming across the border, how easy it is to make and manufacture, those numbers are going to be worse. So I was using during a time, and I've mentioned in my first video, I'm about 1 year and 3 weeks sober from fentanyl and meth technically. Unfortunately, if you're using meth at this point, more than likely you're also addicted to fentanyl, because you know, the cartel and those that make these drugs are mixing fentanyl into cocaine, they're mixing it into meth, they're mixing it into street purchased marijuana. This makes the drugs more addictive, which is definitely a scary thought. Now, during the time I was using, you know, and I used for about 18 years, so over half my life, I witnessed that point in time where, you know, black tar heroin started getting mixed with fentanyl. And then there came a point where I didn't see, you know, at least by my old dealers, I did not see heroin anymore, black tar heroin. It became fentanyl, you know, a common form of fentanyl, and I have photos of this, but I can't share them online. You know, if you have a loved one that's sick, or you've ever been injured, or you've ever been an addict yourself, even if you're not one now and you're one in the past, 30 milligram OxyContin is a round blue pill. It says 30 on one side and it has an M on the other side. That is the common form of fentanyl now. Okay, it looks identical to OxyContin, but it is not OxyContin, it is fentanyl. which is dangerous for so many reasons. Obviously, if someone thinks they're purchasing OxyContin and they take that dose of what they typically would, it's very likely that they'll overdose and unfortunately pass away. And there are other forms. I had experience with what they call pink fetty, which is a pink powder, which is the more potent form. Oh my goodness. Scary, scary stuff. Anyway, like, way back many years ago, 10 or more years ago, 11 years ago, maybe about 10, back when I was living in California, I remember how hard it was to get a hold of fentanyl, okay? And I didn't even know it was a thing until I'd been using other pills up to that point, like Norco, hydrocodone, like I said, OxyContin, Opana, and fentanyl. I don't know the exact amount of how much more potent it is, but I wish I looked up the number, okay? But it's more than 100 times more potent than correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Sorry if I'm wrong. Either morphine or your average opiate like hydrocodone or Percocet, which is oxycodone. Okay, it's no joke. After moving here to Utah, okay, I've been here about 7 years. It was about the time I lost my second brother, okay? So I lost my second brother about just over 3 years ago. And I had been using on and off here in Utah, but that after my second brother died, that relapse was absolutely massive, major, okay? And I was so surprised when my dealer had a bunch of these blue pills, right? Like I said, they look like the 30 milligram OxyContin. They're not. They're fentanyl. And I was like, how did you get a hold of those? Like, that's something that, I knew was not something you come across. Well, this was about the time when this poison was becoming so prolific in the United States. Thank you to China and the cartel. And, fortunately, I was told it was fentanyl, okay? But, and the cost of them as well, right? I remember back in California having to pay $30 a pop for one 30 milligram OxyContin. I only had to pay $10 a pop for this crap, okay? Not only that, again, trigger warning, please don't watch if this will upset you, okay? I'm just trying to provide information to educate people and share my experience. This crap dissolves perfectly in water, which is perfect for IV users. Okay, see where I'm going here? And it's everywhere. It is everywhere. It doesn't take that much searching to find it. Okay? Just to give you an idea of how toxic this drug is and how much of a threat it is, not only to all of the poor souls out there dying every single day from this drug. Okay? It is not beyond reality that your child or my child could be playing at a friend's house or playing at the park, and one of these poisonous drugs are laying on the ground and it looks like a piece of candy, right? And that child goes up and picks it up and just touches it. Just touching this is enough to kill them because it is so toxic and it absorbs through your skin. Sorry, it's a little loud, the traffic. Okay? Now, this is why I have taught my children, my daughters, if you see anything on the ground and you do not recognize what it is, do not touch it. Even if it looks like candy, whatever, do not touch it. There's an appropriate way to talk to your children about these things to ensure that this accident, this fate does not ever happen to one of your children, God forbid. Okay? You don't have to tell them what it is. Just say, if you see this, don't touch it. This drug is so potent, so poisonous, okay, that, if you're not an addict, most people know this, okay? You've probably seen it in movies when addicts IV use heroin, for example. They'll usually tie off their wrist, their arm, right? Tie it off, and they'll inject the drug into their vein, and then they'll release the tie. I did not do that because it was so strong and so potent that there were many times I felt myself in dire straits where I thought I was going to have a problem of overdosing. I am sad to say that after my second brother passed, I was shooting fentanyl and meth 8 to 10 times a day. There was not a single vein on my body I had left anywhere except for my neck vein right here, which is horrible. And I hate any family members of mine seeing this and hearing that, but that's the truth, and that's how horrible this situation is. And no wonder so many people die from it, because it's unlike any other, it's like any other drug or opiate that is out there right now, and it's easily accessible. I'm so thankful that in my sobriety, about 1 year and 3 weeks later, all my veins have come back. I used to have to cover my arms entirely. No matter how hot it was outside, I had to cover up because I had lumps all over my body, on my arms, on my legs, on my feet, bruises. It was so hard to find a vein that it would take hours sometimes just to find one. And that is why I resorted to that desperate act of using here in this vein, because it's so big. Looking back, it's very scary to say that. It hurts my heart that I did that to my body, but I was suffering, I was sick, I was not well. And if any of you out there are struggling with this, my heart goes out to you. Anybody who hears this who has family members or friends who are struggling with addiction, my heart also goes out to you. People need to be aware, I feel, of the reality of how poisonous and dangerous and prolific this drug is all over the United States. Like I said, 73,838 deaths reported by synthetic drugs, non-methadone, mostly fentanyl, in the year 2022. That's, like I said, about 203 people a day dying from fentanyl. So, even if you're not a user, even if you don't have anyone in your family who's a user, it's so important to be aware, because I know, based on what I have seen, that this problem will become worse and worse, and there's not much that's either being done about it or can really be done about it, because it's so easy to create, and it's so easy to be carried over the border and to just be brought wherever and everywhere. So, like I said, please inform your kids age appropriately. Do not touch things you do not recognize on the ground. And And I don't know, I just feel like these topics are really important for everyone to know. And I really feel like every single household, even if you don't have an addict in your family, even if you're not an addict, should carry Narcan at all times. Narcan will save the life of someone who has overdosed on an opiate, like fentanyl. I carry it on me in my back, or wherever I go, there's a little spray device. You put it in the nose and you just spray it in each nostril. And the person who has overdosed will go into immediate withdrawal, but it will save their life. They'll wake up, they'll be able to start breathing again, and it will save their life. You know, you never know. You never know. Yeah, I know this hurts to say, or this might hurt to hear, rather. You may not know that your child is using this drug. You may have no idea that your child's friend who is hanging out with your child is using this drug. It's just so scary. I mean, I have come close to losing my life multiple times from this, and I just call it a poison because it's so toxic, it's so horrible, and it is killing so many of U.S. citizens. It's sick, and I don't know. I just want people to be aware of that, and I'll have some more things to share on some upcoming videos, some advice, and you know, if anyone has any questions for me or they want to ask me anything from my experience that might be helpful to hear, I'd be happy to share those experiences. I could go on for hours about stories of things I've seen, things I've experienced, and I really do believe there'd be some value in sharing some of those things. Anyways, just wanted to get that out there. Peace and love. Did you not record, dude? It's gonna piss me off.